Hey YouTube, welcome back for another deck tech, and this one is very exciting. I have been talking about this deck a lot in coaching sessions, and it is one that you should absolutely be aware of if you're going to be playing in any events, specifically the upcoming Ascent in Boston. And that deck is called Wind OTK Boots, or as I like to call it, these boots were made for walking. So first off, this is a Looking Glass deck. So that's why we're showing this first, because this needs to come out as soon as the game starts. Little tip. This is basically like a pre-game action, if you're familiar with that. This has to come out, and it is a May trigger. So if you forgot to bring it out, even if your opponent went first, you need to bring this out at the beginning of the game. Because if you don't, it's a missed trigger. So important to know that. We are a Spirit of Wind, as well as a Lorraine deck. Lorraine, pretty much here just to be able to enable one card in our deck, Rallied Advance, which we'll talk about, as well as if we need to add a little bit more damage, we get a free sword out of this deck. So this is pretty straightforward. Nothing too exciting. We are a wind deck. We are Lorraine. So, a classic aggro build there. Now, the mainstay card of this entire deck and what makes this archetype possible, Ranger Strides. So this is, and the reason that we play Looking Glass, is a one-cost Regalia item Ranger Distortion accessory with on-enter draw a card. But the next part, that's what's important. Banish Ranger Strides. Target Ranger unit gains ranged 4 until end of turn. That's a lot. 4 extra damage for one card potentially. And there's ways to get this out incredibly fast, and we are going to talk about that when we get into the main deck. So like any aggressive combo deck, we've got access to a ton of draw cards, right? We're playing 2 Baubles, Backup Charger, and Potentious Tengu. We need to be able to dig into our deck when we need to find those cards that help us win the game. We play a ton of enablers, but we need the actual cards that will win the game at the end of the day. So we have those, and then a couple of tech cards. We've got Smoke Bombs and Sensor. If you're not playing Sensor in this format, you're probably a Spectre deck. So, and even some Spectre decks are playing Sensor these days. So you're not going to want to leave the house without this. And we have a lot of really cool interaction with this card to keep it on the board and have our opponents just ruin their day because they cannot deal with this with their Spectre lists. And then Smoke Bombs in a deck that attacks really, really tall with a unit. Sometimes you just need to be able to get through a Taunter or an Interceptor. Smoke Bombs has become a staple in most decks this season. So very, very strong when we're seeing so many Interceptors and Taunters. And the 12th card is Ranger Boots. Now, this card seems really weird because this is a Regalia item. It enters hindered. On enter, it draws a card. And then class bonus, which we do not have, banish Ranger Boots, your champion becomes distant. That doesn't matter. This is mostly just in it for another draw and specifically for an interaction with one ally that we are going to talk about right away. And since I already brought it up, let's just bring it out. The first ally we are going to talk about today is a very exciting one, and people are probably like, wait, what the heck? Mad Hatter, Moreau's Heritor. Heritor? I messed that one up for sure. We're just going to call him Mad Hatter. He's a 1/3, 3-cost unique ally Ranger Human with ranged 3. On enter, you may banish a card at random from your material deck. If you do, materialize a Ranger Regalia card from your material deck. So, if we're able to play this, we've got our Looking Glass out and our Spirit, right? We're going to play our Mad Hatter, not hit that card. This is a perfect example of the high risk, high reward of what this deck is. You want to hit anything other than Ranger Strides, but if you do hit Ranger Strides, that is exactly what this Ranger Boots is in here for. So you're hoping to hit anything other than Ranger Strides, be able to cheat this guy in, draw a card. You still have to pay for the materialization, but if you do happen to hit this Ranger Stride and banish it, at least we have another hit, which is these Ranger Boots, which lets us draw, and we can still win a game with a beatdown plan, but it's a lot harder without our Ranger Strides. So it's definitely a high risk, high reward, and Mad Hatter is incredibly powerful in this deck. Getting to cheat out a materialization, especially our mainstay card, which lets us OTK our opponents or just do a ton of damage when we need to, is very, very strong. And on top of that, a lot of times this thing is swinging for at least 4, especially when we partner it up with Lube, Oathkeeper. Now, Lube is a classic. We've seen her before in some unique Wind Allies lists. She is a 2/3 Here we go. She is a 2/3 unique allied ranger human. Whenever another unit you control becomes distant, Lube becomes distant. So this is very, very good. Like I said, range 2, 2/3, very powerful card. If we have a Mad Hatter out with her and we give our Mad Hatter distant to become a 4/3 attacker, she also becomes a 4/3 attacker. And now we have 2 Gildises. And if you have ever played allies, you know how strong it is to have one. So pretty powerful. And she just makes a lot of sense when we also play cards like Purse. So this is another really, really cool Ranger ally that we have. Ranger Human, 1/3 for 3, range 2. And her ability is really the main reason we play her, which is suppress target ally, item, or weapon. Activate this ability only if Purse is distant, because we have so many distant enablers that I'm going to talk about here in a second. She is very, very powerful with utility. And we can bounce our own Ranger boots and continue to draw cards. We can bounce, same thing if we're not going for our combo kill with Ranger strides, we can keep bouncing it and drawing cards. Or we can use her defensively to protect our board, deal with Shenjus really well, protect our Censor, which is the real thing. If people want to try to deal with Censor and we have a Purse on board, it's basically impossible for them to kill it. So slow speed is never going to get there because we're going to be able to, in main phase, suppress it, which is going to bring it back in end step and never get them a chance to really do anything. So really, really powerful. And then last ally in the deck, if we're playing a bunch of wind unique allies, obviously we're playing the horse, right? This is Dilu, Auspicious Charger. A lot of people know who this card is. It's a 3/4 for 2, which that is incredibly well statted. To hold it back, it has Pride 3. But as long as you control a wind element unique human ally, Dilu loses Pride and has Vigor. So this is a 3/4 for 2 with Vigor, which is just an incredible beat stick. And the most important thing on this card is the fact that it is a Tamer Ranger beast horse. So this Dilu can get targeted with Ranger strides and other cards that give Ranger units distant or protect them, things like that. Really powerful ally, obviously. Kind of our plan B when we just need to beat down. So we're a combo deck, which means we need to dig, right? We need to find the correct cards that help us win. So like any other good filtering wind deck, we are playing a 4 of Fairy Whispers as well as a 4 of Scout the Lands. Nothing crazy here. This is just to dig for our endgame pieces, usually going to be a couple that we'll talk about here in a second. But we just need to dig. Drawing and filtering in a combo deck is very important. Next up, I'm going to talk about some of our interaction. So we have Coronation Ceremony, Verdigris Decree, and Stifling Trap. So Stifling Trap, we want our opponent to be as low life as we possibly can, right? We want to make sure they're not dungeon guiding up. We want to keep them in a kill range, as well as deal with anything that could potentially mess with our allies. Could that be Dream Fairies, Snow Fairies? Honestly, a million different things you can stop with this Stifling Trap. The other thing is, in a pinch, it can be pretty solid removal if we need to kill one of those really pesky suited allies or fire aggro allies and continue. It stops Suzaku's kill line, their combo with the chicken and peppered chef. It's just a very solid wind card. But the biggest one is keeping those level 3 decks at a healthier life that we can stop them at. A lower health, I should say. And then Coronation Ceremony in this deck, really, really cool. Obviously, this has classically been used to fight against fractals and giving yourself Spell Shroud out of the main deck. That can happen. Can also stop you from dying by like a fireball or something like that. But the big thing this is for is when we go for those kill turns, we are always going with unique allies, which means this is a 1-cost give target unit Spell Shroud. So when we go all in on a combo and our opponent tries to kill our ally, boom, we Coronation Ceremony, give it Spell Shroud, protect it. So it helps protect our combo. And then lastly, I'm going to actually pull this card to the middle because I want to talk about this one a little bit more, is Verdigris Decree. People know Verdigris Decree for its ability to blow up Fantasia, but in this deck, we use this card incredibly offensively. So most of the time, what we are going to be using Verdigris Decree for is to suppress up to 1 target ally, which is usually going to be a Taunter or an Interceptor, and then give one of our allies +2 attack. The ideal turn with a card like this is having a card like Mad Hatter out, right? We've got Mad Hatter, and then we're able to, in Recollection, Verdigris Decree, imbue it, get rid of their blocker, and give Mad Hatter +2 attack. Now he's starting at a 3/3, right? He's starting at a 3/3. We use our Ranger boots. We give him an additional ranged 4. So now he has ranged 4 and ranged 3 as a 3/3. So if we give him distant, we're able to turn him into a 10 damage attacker. This is my favorite combo line with it. So now you got rid of their interceptor. You give this distant, it becomes a 10 damage attacker, and then we will use a couple of spells, which, you know what? I'm just going to talk about them right now because it's the perfect time. Our combo enablers. This is going to be Second Wind and Rallied Advance. So Second Wind is our ideal because we kill from Spirit most of the time. So if we're able to use that 10 attack, restand with Second Wind, and then swing for another 10. If we are Lorraine, we can swing for, before damage, Second Wind, which would make it hit for 11, and then swing for another 11, which is a 22 damage turn. Same thing with something like a Rallied Advance. If we leveled up to Lorraine this turn and grabbed an Ornamental Greatsword, gave Mad Hatter an additional damage, we're able to Rallied Advance to restand and do these giant OTK turns where we can pretty much kill anybody. So that is what this combo is. Second Wind is just a fast speed restand for us. We're usually using it on Spirit, not on... it can come up with Lorraine, obviously, to get the class bonus, but the biggest thing is having access to a restand while we are on Spirit. Rallied Advance is we only play 2 of it because it is the lesser of the 2 for us, because we want to kill as fast as possible, which is typically on Spirit, but Rallied Advance does give us a little more reach and helps us get to that combo. One other utility spell in our deck that I want to talk about before we get to the last chunk of the main deck, and that's Beseech the Winds. So Beseech the Winds is another way. It's kind of Mad Hatter 5 and 6 for our Ranger strides, but what it also is very, very, very good at is grabbing that smoke bombs to deal with something we might have to, being able to bring out Censor on turn 1 against these Rile decks and keep them on their toes, make them not able to utilize their Riles as well as they should be able to. It's just a very versatile card that has a lot of potential. So what it does for some of our newer players is it is a 3-cost slow action cleric mage spell, materialize a card from your material deck. And I know that Isaac put that up for you guys to read when I pulled it out, but this lets us materialize something quickly. It lets us do it during our main phase and get an additional materialization. And in this deck, pushing as much damage, getting our combo online, that's huge. So a card like that pulls a lot of weight. Now, lastly, this is what makes our combo actually work. And this is going to be our full-on combo pieces, right? This is the ranged, our distant enablers. Being able to give our ranged allies distant to get their big bonuses for our attacks and then restand and do these giant turns. We are playing quite a few. We're playing 18 distant enablers, which I want to talk about a couple of the newer ones. So evasive maneuvers obviously is fine. It costs 1, which is the big thing for it. It prevents the next 2 damage that would be dealt to target unit, so you can use this defensively, but if you use this on one of our ranger allies, it protects them and gives them distant. That is probably the easiest to cast because it is a 1 cost. So sometimes that 1 does come up, which is nice. Backstep is a classic because it does replace itself. Very, very good there. It's just, it is Norm, which is the only bad thing about it. We can't grab it with Fairy Whispers, but it does replace itself by drawing a card. 2 cost, target unit becomes distant. Very straightforward. Skirting Step is a classic, very, very good one. It has Imbue 2. Target unit becomes distant. If Skirting Step is imbued, prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to that unit this turn and draw a card. So this replaces itself, again, like Backstep, but it's in Wind. We're able to grab this. Really, really, really good. Also, the little bit of damage prevention, so it's kind of like combining those other 2 that we talked about. But these are ones that not a lot of people know about. So these are some really, really cool. One's from HVN, which is what I'm going to talk about first. We haven't seen a lot of Wind distant ranger type decks. So Squallbind Pounce is a 2-cost fast action ranger skill reaction with Imbue 2. Up to 1 target unit becomes distant. If Squallbound Pounce is imbued, suppress up to 1 target attacking ally. So in a pinch, we can use this defensively, but mostly it's here just to be another distant enabler. And now this is the one I'm most excited to talk about. This is a new one from DTR, and this is Aether's Embrace. It is a 2-cost, fast, Action Ranger Aether Charge spell. Now, we're not utilizing the Aether Charge in this deck currently, but what we are utilizing is target unit becomes distant. If that unit is a defending Ranger ally, wake it up, and it gets +2 attack and 2 health until end of turn. And then you may load it, which, like I said, we don't use that. But something really, really important to know and to talk about is, let's say we have something like, I don't know, this is a perfect opportunity for our horse to shine. So let's say we have Dilu. So he's out. Actually, you know what? He is going to be untapped. So let's use Lube instead. So we've got Lube. She attacked last turn. That's great. Now they did 2 damage to it. They leveled up to Lorraine. They used their Flame Rune Swordsman to swing into it for 2, and then go to swing into it with their Lorraine and their sword, right? Now we're able to play an Aether's Embrace, which is going to wake up our Lube, give it distant, which that doesn't matter for retaliating, which is very important to know. Ranged only matters during attacks. So you can't pump up, use your boots, make Lube have a ton of, ranged 4 plus ranged 2, and then give her distant and retaliate for 10. That doesn't work. But what it can do is this card will still give her +2/+2. So she'll become a 4/5, which is not going to die to that attack that I told us about, and lets us retaliate for 4. So that's going to soften up our opponent and make our combo turn a lot easier to get to. Maybe we don't even need to restand because we did enough damage, right? And now our Lube lived, plus we were able to give it distant for next turn. So the amount of tempo that we gain in a play like that is just crazy, crazy powerful. So I've really, really liked Aether's Embrace so far playing it. It has a lot. I love combat tricks, and the blowout potential with a card like this is huge. So if opponent is really, really banking on, swinging into your Lube with their level 2 Lorraine to draw a card, and then nope, I'm going to wake her up and retaliate for 4, and you don't get to draw, that is a ridiculous amount of tempo that we gain. So the biggest win of this deck and the coolest card is definitely Mad Hatter that makes a lot of this possible. When you open Mad Hatter turn 1, turn 2, your kill pressure is just through the roof. So this card, although a lot of people didn't really understand what it might be able to do, being able to materialize a Ranger card so we get another materialization is just so, so powerful, especially when it is our main piece to creating a devastating combo kill. So thank you guys for hanging out. I hope you liked this deck. Give it a try. If you do decide to play this deck, build your sideboard to whatever your local meta may be. If you're playing against a lot of this or that, make sure you got the pieces to fight it. But this is the core. This is what this deck is all about. Make sure you know about it so that you don't get cheesed when you play against the Mad Hatter deck that you thought was an unplayable rare and then get absolutely blown out on turn 2 or turn 3. Thank you guys for hanging out. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.